never gone on to say. Let me get you alone. I've got a little place in mind. Let me take you alone. There's gotta be a space and time. Let me get you alone. I've got a little place in mind. Let me take you alone. There's gotta be a space and time. Let me get you alone. I've got a little place in mind. Let me take you alone. There's gotta be a space and time. Let me get you alone. I've got a little place in mind. Let me take you alone. There's gotta be a space and time.
Turn on the light again. Nights are burning, nights are burning. It's getting dark again. The world's still turning, the world's still turning. Worlds apart, fight for love.
There's a city that has all the makings of a great story. A place full of interesting characters.
Action! Oh my God! What the hell is on my back? It's a long story. Just run!
A city where the tales are tall,
Welcome aboard.
where adventures unfold.
Going away.
And where, with a little help, the impossible is possible.
Imagine the power it would have taken to build this.
You can make believe it here.
I'm really close tonight. There's something in the way that you're talking. Whenever I fall at your feet, you let your tears rain down on me. You're hiding from me now. There's something in the way that you're talking. Whenever I fall at your feet, you let your tears
Jingri Jimbalang, Nyaninari Sophia. Hello, my name is Sophia and I am a descendant from the families of the Yugambeh language region. Now this language region spans from the Tweed River to the Logan River and out to the Scenic Rim and is bordered by our beautiful Kubul Pacific Ocean, and today I am honored to be formally welcoming you all to the lands of the Kumbameri people. Now as I do so, I'd like to take a moment to pay my respect to the elders, both those who have passed on and those who are still with us. It is listening to them, learning from them, that we're able to keep alive the stories and the customs of the past. I'd also like to pay my respect to all other mob who are with us, and also all other cultures who gather here today. For the land that we gather upon is a wonderfully diverse place, but it is also home to a very rich and lively culture that I only hope is able to be shared and celebrated amongst Indigenous and non-Indigenous alike. Now, the land that we gather upon has, for countless years, been reflected back at us through storytelling. From our beaches to our vast deserts, our rainforests and our mountain ranges, this land has always been a canvas. But with each landscape that is shown, there are countless of stories that have already set their roots there. This country is vast and sprawling, but it is also rich with life and art. So with each time the land is reflected today, I ask that you are able to understand the history and the power these landscapes have. I ask that you are able to take yourself back and strip away the layers of infrastructure, strip away the Australia you've come to know today, and see it as it was. I ask that when you hear the songs, you are able to think of the stories that were woven throughout each melody. I ask that when you see the art pieces, you are able to think of the animals and the landscapes that inspired each dot, of the countless artists that have immortalized their songlines to now be seen by you. I ask that when you see the dancers, you can feel the very earth shift underneath you with each beat. I ask that you are able to take yourself back to that time, under the clear Milky Way, where this desolate land was populated by life and music. And when you take yourself back to that time, on the red earth and the black sky, know that this is the land that we stand upon. This is the heart, the soul, and the spirit of Australia. And so today, with these stories that are being told, I ask that you are able to respect the significance that this land has. I ask that you are able to respect the significance it has both to those that gather here today and those that once gathered here. Because if you can do that, if you are able to respect it, then it will forever welcome you to keep on storytelling. Now this final song I'm going to sing to you is a blessing song. It calls to our spirits and calls to our ancestors, and it asks them to watch over and guide each and every one of you as you go about your journey on country. Wake, wake, my love. Wake, wake, my love. Ya prangirangiru. Ya prangirangiru. Karimananya, Bagawani, Nganyanari. Our story has been told until we see each other again, and thank you.
Holy bat balls, that was beautiful, wasn't it? Thank you, beautiful. Welcome to Country, Sophia. Thank you so much. And also, thank you, David, for accompanying Sophia on the didgeridoo. Thank you. Yeah, give her a round of applause. That was incredible. I've never heard noises from a didgeridoo, but Sophia, you have a beautiful voice. Thank you so much for sharing it. Look, right at the head of the conference, welcome, welcome. But I want to take a moment to acknowledge Rhoda Roberts, who recently passed away. Rhoda's extraordinary contribution to Australia's arts and screen landscape created space for First Nations stories to be seen, heard and celebrated. Thank you, Rhoda. Can we have a round of applause, please, as well? Now, welcome to all of you to the stunning coastline of the Gold Coast on the lands of the Yugambeh language people in this incredible part of Queensland. Now, this year marks a very special milestone. We're excited. 40 years of Screen Forever, celebrating 4 decades of storytelling, collaboration, and an industry that continues to evolve and push boundaries. And there's 40 years of memories. And to celebrate that, we're doing different things this week, but we wanted to start with a little clip that reminds us of where we've been with some of the great people that have been a part of this journey with us. Let's play the clip.
I wouldn't have believed that, 40 years ago I would be sitting here saying congratulations to SPA on the 40th conference.
I think my abiding memories of the first SPA conference was trying to meet as many of the broadcasters as we could. This was the days before streamers, so it was a little bit easier.
I remember just going to so many sessions and learning so much about how the industry ran.
I was kind of not overwhelmed, but it was like observing like a lot of deals happening and seeing like, okay, this is the place to come to.
The guests and the selection of, commissioners and sales agent and production partners has always been absolutely fantastic. And I think meetings at Screen Forever, both formal and informal, have just been so beneficial to the projects that I've been working on.
Producers come, directors, writers come, but also lawyers, policy people.
I think that's why everyone sort of goes, because it's one place we can go where you can sort of find out what's happening now, what sort of future trends are going to happen. You can hear from very experienced people in those sessions.
I think the conference has been a place where ideas can be exchanged, where views can be put safely and with great sensitivity.
You've got big decision makers coming in that you wouldn't ordinarily have access to.
It honours the past and the legacy in some ways, and that's through things like the Hector Crawford Memorial Lecture, which reminds people of the long tradition of Australian culture and the arguments and battles that have been fought around that.
When you go to Screen Forever and when you have that information, it's super handy, but you really do take it for granted.
You're a very contemporary conference, that's what I would say, and I think you've remained relevant year on year.
Interesting ideas expressed, networks can be built, all of which are very positive things for the industry. So I wish you all very well for the future and many more conferences to come.
Yay, round of applause, please, for some of those beautiful people. You're all here. You already know this. This is a place where you all should be. It's going to be a really fantastic few days. And there's a fantastic group of people that have travelled overseas to join us. And I want to acknowledge that we've become a very globalised industry, and our conference has become very globalised as well. We have international delegates from the United Kingdom, from France, from the Philippines, from Germany, from Hong Kong, from Korea, from Ireland, Singapore, the United States and Canada. Thank you all especially for travelling so far to be with us. And at this particular time, in this particular juncture of all the chaos that's going on in the world, it feels more important to come together. Isn't this a nice shot? It's us all cuddling together. It's the group that met yesterday for what was a very full day of our Global Connect program, a targeted pre-conference program selected between Australian and international producers who want to work closely together to develop co-productions of various sorts. And I think as the storms rage globally and as we want to work together closely, these powerful moments of getting together are more meaningful than ever. But wait, there is more. For all our delegates, our online global market at SPA HQ was held last week. And of course, this is all done remotely, but it fostered 1,000 connections between our delegates and 46 international hosts across roundtable meetings and direct project pitches. Well done, team. And looking ahead, we have a big market going on. Our SPA Connect market in the marquee is going to be absolutely jam-packed. We're talking curated pitch meetings, roundtable networking, co-production partnership introductions for both local and international companies. 3,000 meetings going on across Wednesday and Thursday. The marquee will be buzzing. Ideas, deals, meaningful connections. Thank you all for making that happen. And it speaks volumes about the business activity that happens here. It is millions of dollars that end up being resolved and deals done in this space. So, thanking all of that to happen, it is our industry has long been a partnership between private sector and government of various stripes. And it is with great pleasure great pleasure in welcoming our special guests, including Mr. Herman Vorster, MP, Assistant Minister for Multicultural Affairs and International Student Attraction and Member for Burleigh. That is a very long title, isn't it? Holy moly. Who is here on behalf of the Premier and who we'll hear from soon. Thank you so much for being here. It's your first Screen Forever and we're delighted to have you here. And we were, of course, in Burleigh yesterday. What a beautiful part of the world. Later in the week, we're going to be joined by the Honourable Tony Burke, the Minister for the Arts, Senator Sarah Hanson-Young, and I'm also looking forward to welcoming the Honourable John Paul Langbrook, Queensland Minister for the Arts, the Gold Coast Acting Mayor Mark Hamill, and Angie Bell, also the Shadow Minister for the Arts, who also has a seat not that far from here. So lastly, let me welcome and thank you all, the visionaries, storytellers and industry leaders in the room. You are the ones who drive our creative landscape forward. Your dedication, ingenuity, unwavering commitment to share unique narratives that you have to drive, we know, very, very hard to make this industry thrive. You are the ones that make this event the sensation that it is, and we're all delighted to be here with you all and to share what is going to happen this week. Now, an event like this doesn't happen without the support of organisations that back our industry and, as a consequence, are backing you. So I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of them. I can't name them all in huge detail, but I want to single out our key partners. Our major partner, the Gold Coast Film Commission. Thank you, Gina. I see you in the crowd. Thank you. You're everywhere. Our major government partner, Screen Australia. Thank you, Deirdre and Grania sitting there. Thank you for your ongoing support of what this is. I think my first Screen Forever, Deirdre, was probably working for Nickelodeon at the time. I think you brought me into market meetings and it was quite an eye-opener. Our key industry partners, the ABC, SBS Media Super, and our supporting partners, of which I won't list them all, but they are incredibly welcomed and thank you very much for being with us. And our music and media partners who are going to be doing various activities with us, of course, across the week. But last but not least, our principal partner, the Queensland Government. We've saved the best till last, through Screen Queensland. So finally, it is my great pleasure to again welcome the CEO of Screen Queensland. Now, I've known Jackie for a long time. And it's true to say she went like this I've always been so excited to see her. But I think she's also been quite excited to see me. Will you please welcome Jackie Feeney to the stage?
Welcome aboard.
Now start talking. Excuse me?
Nothing can stop us now.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to go look through my photo album. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. So wonderful that we're here on Yugambeh country, and what a beautiful welcome that was before. Dreamtime Artistry also welcomed us yesterday, and Sophia wasn't there singing because her voice is so divine that we actually got David on the didgeridoo creating animal sounds, which was also rather extraordinary. I also want to say that from a Screen Queensland perspective, we're very proud to support a strong pipeline of First Nations storytellers. It's some of the work that we do that you don't always get to see, but I am so proud of the work that I know and the talent that is in that pipeline. And we're thrilled to be able to support those traditions and rich cultures of contemporary storytelling for our screens across film, series, online and games. And that also includes Sparn Award-nominated series Dreaming Big, produced right here on the Gold Coast by Wirral Media. Good luck, Richard. Also want to recognise that this is a partnership with the Queensland Government in supporting Screen Forever, so also acknowledge the member for Burleigh, Herman Vorster, who you'll hear from in a minute, and President of the SPA Council, Tracy Vieira and Kate Carnell. Thank you. So, our industry is defined by constancy of change. We navigate shifting funding models, policy changes, global pressures, and rapidly evolving audience behaviour. Many of us remember that only last year, international headlines landed on the eve of this conference, aka the Trump film tariff. But if there's one thing this sector continues to prove, it is this. Our industry knows how to meet a challenge with creativity, and that is worth recognising, because behind every production, every platform and every premiere is a deep commitment to bringing Australian stories to audiences everywhere, and that is why Screen Forever matters. It brings together the energy of this industry, the ideas and the ambition, but most importantly, you, the people. Yes, it is fast moving, the industry and this week. It's full of pitching, partnerships and possibility. But it also gives us a rare chance to stop, to listen, and to imagine what will come next, or what should come next. And this year, I also want to acknowledge that we celebrate the extraordinary milestone of 40 years of Screen Forever, so I'm going to congratulate you. Congratulations to Matt Dina and the entire SPA team for delivering a program that is both purposeful and future-focused. So at Screen Queensland, we have been reflecting on the momentum that our industry here in this state is building. Queensland is increasingly recognised as a trusted home for major productions, a centre of excellence for animation and games, and increasingly a place where distinctly Queensland stories can reach global audiences. Right now, this includes Inner at Cannes Series, Seven Snipers in cinemas, crime series Fortitude Valley being filmed for the ABC, and Black Snow Series 3 being filmed up in Cairns, set and shot in Cairns for Stan. The Ludo series Alan is finishing post for Netflix, and Rough and Ruby is appearing on YouTube. These projects are being created right across our state, from Coolangatta to Cairns, from Mooloolaba to Mount Isa, from Toowoomba to the Torres Strait. And our focus is simple: to make sure more Queensland creators can turn opportunity into long-term success. That means supporting local IP, it means strengthening production businesses, and it means ensuring the impact of major projects create a lasting legacy for the next generation. Because success for our industry should not be temporary, it should be sustainable. At Screen Queensland, we approach this work with a partnership mindset, and that includes how we work with the large-scale Hollywood work that we bring to this state. We want to build relationships that create repeat opportunities for our crews, creatives, production companies and service providers. And we want Queensland to be the place where the best in the business choose to build their future here. And that is why the Screen Queensland team has come to Screen Forever ready to talk business, and just as importantly, ready to listen. We have also supported around 40 Queensland practitioners to be here this week, one for each year of Screen Forever, and we look forward to connecting many of you with them. So enjoy this time together. Let's challenge old thinking, create new opportunities, and build an even stronger future for our industry. And so now it is my great pleasure to welcome to the stage, representing the Queensland Government as the principal partner of Screen Forever, the member for Burleigh, and now I'm going to say the title, the Assistant Minister for Multicultural Affairs and International Student Attraction, Herman Voster, MP. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, and I'm not sure what the aspect ratio is of that screen, but it's the one that's required to have that title up there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, and I want to use flowery language like that because we know that industry events have a massive smorgasbord of destinations from which to choose. But you have chosen to respond to our invitation, our offer of support, and to find your way here to the Gold Coast and to Queensland. We know you had a choice. We know the competition's fierce. We see that in your industry proper. But you've chosen us. And because you have chosen us, on behalf of the Queensland Government, I want you to know that we choose you as well. As many of us have now taken to, I whipped out the ChatGPT before when I was in the green room. And I forced it to trawl the web, and I asked it a simple question. How many screens are manufactured globally for media consumption? And whether or not we can rely on it, I'm sure it's a staggering figure, but it suggested 1.8 billion screens are produced annually for media consumption globally. And I think that is an extraordinary opportunity. It's an extraordinary opportunity for storytellers, because never before in human history have we had the ability to tell stories, to share history. And I'm deeply passionate, and I know our government is passionate as well, to make sure that we are telling Australian stories, not only to Australians, so that we can keep fanning the flame of our culture and our cultural treasures, our history, our identity, our larrikinism, our First Nation stories. But for the first time, we have an opportunity to broadcast and share Australian stories and culture at scale globally. And what an incredible opportunity of soft diplomacy that is. But just because we have screens doesn't mean that those screens are filled with great content. Stories worth telling. A lot of it is noise and clutter. And that is where the power and the potency and the necessity of your work comes into play. It is by connecting stories with those capable of producing and curating content and delivering it through those channels that the magic actually happens. And so this opportunity over the next few days shouldn't be squandered. It is an opportunity to broker those deals, build those relationships, to make sure that as we fill those screens, we're doing it with decent content, content that we'll be proud of, and content that will build a cultural legacy for Queensland and Australia. It's such important work. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for gathering here on the Gold Coast. We have your back. To our partners in this enterprise who've supported this event, thank you so much for partnering with us. I wish you the very best, and I'm sure that those politicians who will come after me will lend their support, because this isn't political. This isn't political. It's in the national interest that you thrive, and you have friends right across the political aisle. Thank you so much.
That is a man who knows how to give a good stump speech. That is, he said everything I need to say. We should just call this early. Well done. Thank you so much. He's a little bit taller than me, so I'm going to do that. Now, it's a matter of immense pleasure, as well as some measure of relief, to be able to celebrate with you a significant milestone for our industry, the new streaming regulation framework, which came into operation from the 1st of January. We've been talking about this at this conference for a few years, so it's worth us giving it a few minutes. And it took a look back to the past, and this is from I think the 60s or 70s, goodness knows when, reviving the old campaign to remind people to make it Australian. And of course, this is a landmark achievement for our industry. And while not solving all our problems, it does bring some much needed stability and certainty into the future for all of us. And it will deliver, I think, in the long term. It has got a few years yet to kind of roll forward. But it's taken a lot of work from a lot of people, including colleagues from other parts of the sector, to get to this result. But I wanted to credit the SPA membership for being the consistent and ongoing driving force behind this reform. If you can, please give yourselves a round of applause for all the work that went into this campaign and what happened, because it was a big, big job. And to Herman's point, the campaign delivered in the Australian Parliament. We had support across all parts of the political construct, as well as hundreds of individual parliamentarians to deliver the outcome that we needed. And I will single out at this point the two people who were with us on the long journey and helped secure the end result of this outcome. And one of them was Tony Burke, Minister Tony Burke, and the other was Senator Sarah Hanson-Young, who I've mentioned will be joining us later. Now, Minister Burke deserves us to acknowledge him for his critical support in driving from opposition and within government as we collectively all dodged and weaved the various obstacles thrown in the path to this reform. And our broader arts and creative industries are fortunate to have all of these allies from across the political spectrum on our side, helping us to celebrate and drive the Australian cultural story. We are very, very grateful. And for me, on a personal level, this new streaming framework is a project that's been going my entire time while I've been at SPA across what are some dodgy and dodgier haircuts over those times. But on this journey, there have been some very fantastic fellow countrymen and women who have helped me to drive the policy conversation, from Matt Hancock to James Cheatley to Holly Brimble and Jane Mulligan. I want to thank them for all their incredible contributions to SPA's policy positions. Thank you. And particularly, can I single out Jane, who has helped to deliver this finally through to the end result. This is us just after the bill was introduced. So, as you can imagine, after so long, it was a real thrill to be in the House of Representatives chamber and hear Minister Burke introduce this legislation in the Parliament.
I must acknowledge the numerous stakeholders who have long advocated for Australian content, for there to be an Australian content requirement on streaming platforms. The Screen Producers Association, present in the gallery at the moment, the Media Alliance, the MEAA, and all of the guilds, as well as many people who don't in fact work in the industry at all, but who simply have a connection to the screen through watching great Australian stories.
And then, yeah, let's give him a little... Yeah. All right. And a fortnight later, we heard so many MPs stand up and acknowledge the contribution that SPA and others had made to achieving this fantastic outcome.
The Screen Producers Association.
Screen Producers Association. Screen Producers Australia.
Screen Producers Association.
Screen Producers Australia.
Screen Producers Australia.
To Screen Producers Australia, whose Make It Australian campaign has kept this issue on the political agenda for years, thank you. You and your members have made a huge contribution.
Ah, yeah. It's good for the ego, right? Okay. There's no question that in aiming high, we didn't achieve everything we wanted, but we also came closer than many expected. And it's great news that ACMA last week confirmed that there are 8 major streaming platforms that have at least 1 million Australian subscribers for the 2026 reporting year, and therefore captured in the regulation. A very genuine congratulations to these platforms for their size and scale and success in this market. And let's celebrate the work you are doing or will be starting to do in our production sector. Now, it's fair to say that local content rules on streaming platforms took far too long and created unhelpful friction within our industry. The Indigenous word for coming together after a struggle or fight is makarrata, originating from the Yolngu language in northeast Arnhem Land. And it refers to a process of peacemaking, reconciliation and living together. Now, is this too Pollyanna-y of me? But I do think there's an opportunity to sort of set things forward in a different way within our industry, given the battles before us. And in the meantime, it is important to focus on the many other challenges on our to-do list that never seem to get shorter or are any less complicated or any less pressing. Despite the new platforms on offer, it is in many cases harder than ever to get new screen stories told. We know that it's harder to get finance for them given the way that budgets have grown, and it's harder to get them seen in this very cluttered environment, as Herman mentioned. At a time when social cohesion is under significant pressure, our stories brought to our screens by everyone in this room are even more important than ever, particularly for younger generations. I really believe that ensuring our young Australians have access to their own screen stories really shapes the opportunities and identities of future generations. And this is really as much about intergenerational equity as housing or the environment. Our humour, our pathos, our capacity to hold a complex, multifaceted view of our identities is the special sauce. It makes well-told, brave and surprising Australian characters, Australian voices and Australian stories worth celebrating, worth protecting, worth preserving, and we are its custodians. At SPA, our mission is to ensure that Australian screen stories and the people that bring them to our screens don't get shortchanged, that they get a fair go. To future-proof the pipeline of productions and build strength and resilience in our screen businesses. And sometimes that means making sure that the drab policy and regulatory nuts and bolts are modern and fit for purpose. It's timely, given the government's current consideration of the next national cultural policy, to ask if our screen industry's supporting frameworks deliver as intended, and if not, then how might we modernise them? Now, naturally, we have a few thoughts about this, and we're in consultation mode across our membership at this point to arrive at a concluded submission to this policy opportunity. But the key pieces for us are investment incentives, frameworks to support fair deals, and global partnerships, all of which are essential to how we're going to continue to build screen stories. All this and more needs to come from a solid strategy for both our cultural export and the economic and soft power that this brings, and for the social cohesion that helps hold our nation together. Now, the really good news for us is that we have a solid and robust framework to work from. The bad news is that it can be very hard to change things, as we all know too well. But let me tackle 3 areas. The first is our screen incentives. They're brilliant. The offsets are great. We are very fortunate in this territory to have these, but they do need some modernising and updating. We are awaiting legislation that announces back to changes 2 years ago, yet to go through Parliament. And we also are seeking some fresh commitments and reforms from government in a range of areas. As part of this, we've got to get back to restoring the fundamentals about what these were for and why they were needed. Now, when this was first introduced way back 20 years ago, government made clear that the producer offset was intended to provide a real opportunity for producers to retain substantial equity in their productions and build stable and sustainable productions, and to support industry to meet the challenges of a changing global environment. We have to get back to restoring these concepts. Second, frameworks to support fair deals. Unlike a number of territories, we don't currently have an IP preservation model built into the regulatory framework for our industry to help mitigate the David and Goliath power imbalances when it comes to contracting in our sector. The previous incentives offered in the then points model for commercial broadcasters to assist producers in getting better deals was wiped out when a new content standard was introduced during COVID. And when Screen Australia does not take an equity position in deals, nothing is navigating these fair exchanges. So not wanting to sit on our hands, a short while ago, SPA filed an application to the ACCC to enable a pathway to bargain with commissioners. And when we did this, it flushed out some enjoyably fanciful opinions about the utopian world in which producers operate, expressed in submissions that unfortunately universally opposed what we are seeking. I want to share a few quotes from these perspectives. And I should add that not all of these came from commissioners, they also came from some friends across the guilds. The first is that independent producers do not negotiate in an absence of meaningful leverage. Now, I'm going to ask everyone to judge that situation when they feel they're up against these bargaining points. The second point, on this basis, there is no fundamental benefit or need to have model terms for IP ownership, as the industry has already established these terms to the overall benefit of producers. Another point, the Australian content commissioning market is not experiencing market failure. Producers... Okay, well, there you go, the laughter. Producers operate in an increasingly competitive environment where multiple commissioners actively compete for quality Australian content. Okay, you can enjoy the laughter. Production companies do not suffer from a lack of market power and are more than capable of negotiating commercial terms on their own behalf. They are able to negotiate terms that meet their business needs in the more favourable competitive environment gifted to them by the advent of streaming. Now, across the world, we know that these are not factually correct. But given the game of confidence building and optimism that we have to operate in our businesses and in this industry, it's understandable that we do a poor job revealing the struggles we're in. This has to evolve. So it's very much appreciated by us that the about to be launched research by the AFTRS tomorrow at the Plug Producer Skillset 2030 session and a recent report commissioned from Screen Australia from Olsberg SPI, both which continue to lay bare and provide some of the challenges about the sustainability issues for our screen businesses. We can't shy away from these conversations. And it's imperative that our creative endeavours are both fulfilling and financially viable. The third point I want to make is that global partnerships required by each and every film and television or any other form of content that we create need to be made in order to have these come to life. Now, happily, we've got a globalised market, and streamers have done an incredible job of opening up these opportunities, and the screens you were pointing to are exactly the point. We have an opportunity for worldwide audiences like never before. One of the things that would be a benefit for us is that the formal and unhappily for us at the moment, the formal structures that help build these pathways and markets haven't been loved for a number of years. And we have, for many years, underinvestigated in these growth opportunities for our industry. Our official range of co-production treaties remains low, and of the ones we have, many were drawn up in a very different time. In the case of Canada, some 20 years ago, in the case of our arrangement with France, which is an MOU, 40 years ago. Both of these countries have been asking Australia for some time in different ways to update these agreements, and we haven't yet done that. And do not get me started on the Danish co-production agreement. That is a whole trauma if you want to get me over a drink at the bar talking about that. But if we stick to Canada for a moment, it has 57 co-pro arrangements. And look, Australia, in comparison, has 14. Now, it's not always helpful to get into a mine is bigger than yours comparison with Canadians, but it does send a signal about the markers about how different governments are working to help support the global reach for our local industry. And I want to use that. Not every pathway is going to work for every market, and every business doesn't want to have these pathways, but it is an objective measure that we've landed in this situation, where we are well supported in efforts, I think, to attract productions to Australia, but I think being underserved in efforts to build the partnerships and co-productions and IP export for our local market. And I do want to acknowledge the work that is going on and changing that. We were part of, many of us, and we have some Canadian representatives here, in a wonderful expression of engagement around co-productions earlier in the year, supported by Screen Australia. There is incredible work that is going on, and I think we should lean into it more and more. Telling modern stories today demands modern co-production arrangements for official and unofficial partnering, and new partnerships and strategic work and resources to build meaningful global connections. This is really hard to do as SMEs in this environment, from this far away, knowing how difficult it is at times to be travelling and engaging. And we know that Australia can do better, and it must. It is the time to be ambitious and to increase our horizons. We were having an interesting conversation this morning about the shifts of power imbalance across our global industry and where it is that different territories are working. We have an opportunity to drive our industry forward. The ink, for example, on the Australian EU Free Trade Agreement is barely dry. We need to capitalise on that moment. We are in a time zone that is very friendly to the Asian marketplace. We need to drive those partnerships forward. Look, I started this speech by talking about the remarkable achievement that was the streaming content obligations. And as you've just heard, we still have lots to do. We can't rest on our laurels. The point isn't just that money is spent on Australian content, but ultimately that Australians can see themselves and their stories. So our capacity to view itself, as we've said, in multicultural terms, in socially cohesive ways, is important that Australians actually can see their stories. Australian characters. Ensuring discoverability for audiences, therefore, is really important. And distribution is really important. Otherwise, what are we doing? Ensuring and monitoring all of this is another important element to preserve access to our culture in the face of global pressures. Speaking of pressure, I really like this quote. It talks to the privilege of pressure. And producers and this room certainly knows that pressure. It helps also put things into perspective about choosing pressure, and in so doing, choosing the extraordinary opportunities of pressure. So congratulations on choosing this pathway, choosing your extraordinary life. When you come to us and our team under a lot of pressure, our response from now on is going to be congratulations on the pressure. Now that is our team's response. Oh dear. All right. If I can leave you with only one thing, it is not to underestimate what our industry can achieve. This time last year, streaming regulation seemed an eternity away. Now it's legislated, in force. There is yet much to be done, and the conditions for our screen productions are changing and fast. It's why we can't be shy about standing up for what we need and supporting what our stories can do for the lives of ordinary people, watching in cinemas, in living rooms, on daily commutes. We know what you do each day is nothing short of miraculous. And this week, it is an important moment to pause and share the achievements and think deeply about the challenges ahead. Thank you very much, genuinely and sincerely, for being with us on this journey at SPA and having arrived at this point today. I will, at this point, welcome to the stage someone else who's very extraordinary, and we're very privileged to have her a part of our wonderful family. And that is our chair, Kate Carnell. Could you welcome her to the stage?
Thanks, Matt. Herman, speakers generally, you've said everything that I needed to say, so I'll just go because I only got 3 minutes anyway. Can I just say that getting the streaming legislation over the line was amazing, but it's only the first step of creating an environment that small to medium producers, and let's be fair, the industry is predominantly small to medium businesses. So to say for a moment that small to medium Australian businesses are on a level playing field with international streamers or even for the large broadcasters in Australia is laughable, to put it mildly. And we need to convince the ACCC of that. The future of the industry is based upon us being able to negotiate, convince the ACCC that the current marketplace is not fair, that we've got really big players and lots of small to medium businesses that increasingly have less and less power in the marketplace. I come from a background in small to medium business as advocacy and was heavily involved in getting the grocery code of practice up and running. Our industry is really similar to what's happened in the supermarket space. Coles and Woolworths control access to customer. If you're a small to medium food manufacturer and you want your product in front of a customer, you've got to get it on Coles or Woolworths supermarket shelves. Now that was increasingly impossible for Australian food manufacturers. So a code of conduct came into power through the ACCC. We need something similar. We need a code that creates a level playing field, as much as it ever is. It's never totally level, but we need, as an industry, to be able to have fair contract terms and, most importantly, to have some control, hopefully total control, of our own IP. Thank you very much.
Again, spot the ex-politician in this case with Kate, but the stump speech says exactly what I said and much more efficiently. Apologies. Okay, can I just change gears slightly? I want to take a moment to acknowledge the recent passing of Nick Hurd and his contribution to a number of industry organisations, including SPA. Nick made a valued and deep contribution to Australia's screen sector over many years, particularly through his work in policy, advocacy and government relations, helping to shape the industry we're working today. Could you give a round of applause to Nick and his work? Okay, a couple of other pieces. Today we're very proud to be launching our Industry Codes Initiative, which is a critical step forward in strengthening standards across the screen sector and making production environments, or continuing to help make production environments safe and respectful. This work brings together three key streams: the updated Industry Code of Practice, congratulations to all the work I know that Zoe's been driving on this, the National Guidelines for Screen Safety, designed to support practical industry-wide change and provide clear guidance for productions. At the centre of this is Respectful Workplaces, which many of you will already be familiar with. It's a project that was supported by originally Screen Australia and Create New South Wales, or Screen New South Wales. To date, it has more than 4,000 people that have been participating in that and completed training. It's helping to do its job of building safer, more inclusive sets. And I'm really pleased to announce that today we're launching a brand new contact officer training program to ensure productions have the right support in place when these issues arise. Now, together, this is about more than compliance. They're about setting shared standards of how we all work together. Now, we know this is a startup industry. There's many people coming through, but we need to have shared understanding and ensure everyone feels safe, supported, and respected. This project has been funded by Screen Australia, and I genuinely and sincerely thank you for your work in making this happen and seeing the importance of it. And thank you. Can we give a round of applause to all of the work that's happened in this area? I know it doesn't start a conference with sexy times, but it is important to get the nuts and bolts of our sector working. And look, we're always thinking about how we can be in service of our members and the industry. And in that vein, I want to thank our council and our advisors for your ongoing support to shape the direction of SPA and ensure that the events that we do here continue to deliver. We've heard from the wonderful chair, Kate Cornell. I want to particularly acknowledge Suzanne Ryan, our vice president, but also Tracy Vieira, who's been our SPA council president for a number of years. Could you give them a round of applause for the work that they do? And keep the applause going, because this is the event team that are doing the job here today. Could you thank them, please? They're incredible. It's a result of months of planning, problem solving, relentless coordination, and it just simply wouldn't happen without the work that you all do behind the scenes. And to mark this occasion, and every time I think that we're going to say the word 40, I'm going to have to go woo, because it's like a celebration. But we're wearing, the team of Spa are wearing a specially designed 40 years of Screen Forever anniversary t-shirts, as you can see. Can I ask that all the Spa staff come up to the stage? This is for a photo. I'll do anything for a photo, as you've seen. All right, come on. Ah! A round of applause for Steph holding centre stage, please. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Can I just say the volunteers are in pink and we love our volunteers. And for anyone interested, yeah! We've got samples at the registration desk so you can check your size, but we're available for purchasing online. Nothing like some merchandising. We're taking a leaf out of Ludo's books and seeing what we can develop out of the Spa brand. Okay, thanks to everyone. Give me back the stage. Right. Was it worth it? I hope so. Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, thanks for picking up my clothes. Was anyone worried I was going to take... No, don't worry. And look, my final exercise of celebration is I want to give a huge welcome to our Ones to Watch group who are coming together for the first time after months and months of engagement. Are they in the room? Can we stand up if you're in the room, please? Ones to Watchers. Yeah, get targeted. Congratulations. Thank you. 13th iteration of the program. The next generation of our industry, thank you so much, and to all the mentors that are with them. Okay, I'm going to get off the stage in a minute, but I'm going to do a bit of housekeeping. To make the most of your time at Screen Forever, download the app, use the QR code. Can you use it on your phone here if you haven't already? You can view program, create your own agenda, message other delegates through the app. But wait, there's more. Of course, some of the most valuable moments at Screen Forever happen outside the sessions, a chance to make new connections, reconnect with old ones. Knowing how important connections are, we want to make sure you know where you are. The Garden Kitchen Bar, number 6 on the map, is available exclusively for Screen Australia delegates Tuesday through to Thursday, and for Wednesday and Thursday, the MG Cafe, number 5 on the map, is also exclusively available for Screen Forever delegates. Before we get into the fun, a quick reminder that Screen Forever is a safe, professional space to connect, be inspired and do business without fear of discrimination, harassment or bullying. Please treat each other with respect, act in line with industry standards and of course follow the law. But please make sure if you have got any questions about anything going on, please follow and take directions and engage with our venue and conference staff. Tonight we'll kick things off with Audio Network, opening night drinks. It's 7 p.m. We had to make the call yesterday for fear of a bit of rain, and we didn't want to do what happened last year, which was sort of stop the drinks partway through. We're going to now have them in the Garden Kitchen Bar, which will still be wonderful, but we're planning for rain in case. What's going on, Herman? What's going on? We've come to the... What's that? Yeah? Oh, federal issue. The weather is a federal issue. I love it. That was well handled. Yes. We wait till Minister Burke gets here and we can raise it with him. Audio Network provided some awesome music artists to help us kick off our 40th event tonight. Yay, 40. We've got Setwin, local Gold Coast band Izzy Day, and returning DJ Kid Kenobia. I acted like I knew what I was doing then, I don't really. I hope that we give these guys a lot of love. I know they were fantastic last year. Day 2 brings our Speed Networking Hour, brought to you by Screenwrites, networking event out on the lawn, assuming the weather holds, and provides an energising environment for delegates to build new industry relationships. I'm sure that'll move to the Garden Kitchen Bar if the weather's bad. On day 2, we also have the Mayor's Sunset Social hosted by the Gold Coast Film Commission. Thank you, Gina. Here on the event lawn behind us. A great opportunity to step back, take it all in, keep those conversations going. It really is a really fun end of the day. And we will alert you if things change based on wet weather. And our final night, we're celebrating members' hard works and all of the people that they engage with through the Spa Awards at the wonderful Star Theatre. Such a great space, recognising excellence, and we're going to be followed by the gala party again at the Garden Kitchen Bar, and it'll close out the conference. Our annual awards host is this year Rhys Nicholson, who I'm excited to see, a distinctive voice in Australian comedy, and of course having a celebrated career in stand-up. Now, my final thank yous are to our advisory boards who help shape the market and our program into what it is. Our Spa Connect Market Advisory Board is chaired by the impressive Edwina Waddy from Roadshow Films, and our Program Advisory Board is chaired by the equally impressive Kylie Washington from BBC Studios. Could you please welcome Christian Hodges, this year's conference curator, with Edwina and Kylie on the stage to walk through some highlights. And I'm done.
Hello, thank you, Matt. Thank you. Happy birthday, Screen Producers Australia. The SPA, I'm going to echo some of the things that Matt said, but the SPA Connect market is all about enabling connections and facilitating partnerships so that genuine deals and meaningful relationships can flourish. It is a crucial piece of Screen Forever. It has been an honour to be the inaugural chair of the Market Advisory Board for Screen Forever 40, which represented the strength and breadth of the screen industry, from feature film to television and online, across scripted, factual, kids content and more, and comprised of industry heavyweights from across Australia and around the globe. The goal was to assist the SPA Connect market team, led by the incomparable Michelle Hardy, in crafting a dynamic market, both in person and online. One that amplifies co-production, distribution and investment opportunities. Together with the team at Screen Producers Australia, we are thrilled with the depth and strength of the market this year. The successful online global market was hosted last week around the world, as Matt has said, fostering almost 1,000 connections between our delegates and 46 international hosts across roundtables and direct pitches. And here on the Gold Coast today, as we've said, we welcome 26 international industry guests from Canada, USA, the UK, France, New Zealand, Korea and the Philippines. And again, 2,000 connections, 72 roundtables, 450 matched market and production partnership meetings and the Launchpad networking opportunities that kicked off this morning. Thank you for coming to see us. A very big thank you again to Michelle, Karina and Emma for all their work in bringing this Connect market to life, and to the Advisory Board for your insight, generosity and connections shared to help make the market as rich as possible. May there be many excellent conversations.
Well, it's fantastic to see so many people from across our industry gathered. Producers, creators, commissioners, executives and business support partners. All of us focused on one thing: what's next for Screen? We have listened to feedback from previous years and created dedicated time in the program so that you don't feel like you have to miss out on any sessions. So you can get to those meetings, there's time for it. We are thrilled to have some really great speakers, including, and I'm just going to name a few, I'm just handpicking, Elsie Choi from CJE&M, Elsa Jennings from 5th Season, Hugh Marks from ABC, Dan Moynihan from Foxtel, Andy Ryan and Adrian Swift from Stan and 9, Greg Denning from Studio Canal, Edwina from Roadshow, Damien Keogh from Hoyts, Rachel Perkins and Deidre Brenner from Screen Australia, Sarah Thornton from Paramount, Book Talk influencer Luke Bateman, and of course, Penny Chapman, who will be delivering this year's Hector Crawford Memorial Lecture. Now, before I hand over to Kylie, I'm going to give you a 30-second rundown of what to expect from the next 3 days. We'll see if I can do it in 30 seconds. Does anyone have a timer? All right. State of Play at the box office, Hector Crawford Lecture, State of Play, Global Lens, Second Act, Reimagining Australia's Screen Future, Unscripted Originals, Who's Greenlighting in 2026, Bound for Screen, Books in the Spotlight, Simpsons Pitching Competition, Crossing Borders, Co-Production Trends Shaping 2026, the new Brand Entertainment Playbook, Unpacking Rivals, How Can Australian Content Win Next, Show Me the Money, Screen Agency Spotlight, Beyond the Screen, Unlocking New Revenue for Production Companies, Option Fever, How Aussies Can Win the Global Story Rights Race, the Genre Advantage, Market-Ready Content that Travels, How Big Brother 1 Gen Z is serving the world. AI after the hype. Dana story impact. In conversation with Matt Jenkins. Content cash flow. Future of revenue. Producer skill set 2030. Spotlight on Philippines. From the headlines. Inside Dep Cat murders. Rules of the game. Goolagong. How to ace a biopic. Give me a break. How you can get shit made with digital originals. Beyond Band-Aids. Practical solutions to workforce retention. In conversation with Brooke Satchwell and Lally Maguire. Story development. Please, sir, can I have some more? Private investment, risk, return, and reality, star attraction, importing international talent, play the IP, bridging screen and games, expanding the unscripted ecosystem from commissioning to connection, know your ABC, wait a hot minute, the business case for microdramas, double, making it as a hyphenate, fandom is a new audience strategy, and red light, green light. All right. It was a little more than 30 seconds, but it just shows there's something there for everyone. And no matter what part of the business you're in, it was the Program Advisory Board, chaired by Kylie, that helped build such a comprehensive program.
Well done. What a sprint. Well, as chair of the Program Advisory Board, I'd like to thank the board members who've contributed their time, their ideas and connections to help shape the program that we have ahead of us. The Advisory Board's purpose is to bring clear industry lens to the program, identifying the key discussion points most important to the sector right now, to bring the breadth of voices and perspectives to the conversations we're having over these 3 days. With 241 speakers and 41 sessions, we get into features, games, microdramas, unscripted, audience, marketing, distribution, financing, policy, business strategy. The first day of the conference brings broad agenda-setting conversations that examine where the industry is now, what's shifting, and what continues to lie ahead. These state of play sessions are about thought leadership, challenging assumptions, and creating a shared understanding of the landscape we're operating in, both locally and globally. So, without further ado, I am thrilled to kick off today's program with the state of play at the box office. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, don't anyone go because Jenny Hughes is here from Northern Territory to introduce our panel for this state of play that was the link between Kylie and this. So welcome. And have a seat, Paul. You can just join it. Maybe we should get everyone on stage. You can get on, I think so, everyone on stage.
And now we're going to hear from Paul Wigger. That's it. That's it, a masterclass. Come on, everyone, up you come. Okay.